Mullinder joining us. If you're watching the stream, look at this guy right now. Look at this jacket. Look at this setup. Luke, you look like you're ready for one of them rap videos. You look good. You look good on a Friday.
Yeah, you do look good.
Yeah,
I
like it.
Well, I've been known to frequent a couple rap videos, boys. But listen, I mean, it's just right now. This is all strategic, man. I'm talking to you guys, but I'm also going to be picking up my son here, so I figured I better get a good parking spot right in front of my son's school. Because, dude, I have a reason to be here. I need to be here early so I can just talk to you guys, but also be on time. There are people already here, and I know they don't have to be here. They're just here, just scrolling. It's crazy. The lineup for my son's school is nuts, so I'm just ready to go right now, boys.
Luke, my question to you is, how far would your son have to walk if he had to walk home from school?
Oh, 1, 2, 3 blocks.
And you're picking him up?
It's cold out.
What? Put a coat on. Get the mitt.
Sharky, he's only. Look, I get it. He's only 6 though, Sharky, right? Okay. And I feel like the brothers, the neighbors that he'd walk home with, I feel like he'd just go straight to their house and not come home at all. You know what I mean?
So this is more a containment issue than a pickup issue.
Yeah. So he's got to. I think he's going to be able to prove that he can walk to school at some point too. But the whole thing is, then guys, it's he's going to want to walk to school, but then it's going to get cold, and then he's going to want to ride, and then everybody's going to have to someone's going to have to change their schedule around just to come pick him up because it's 2025 and we entitle our kids and you know what I mean, drop everything for them. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know how that's going to go.
It was uphill both ways for me.
We don't,
listen, I walked for 25 minutes, right? And my dad apparently walked for 6 days barefoot in the snow in New Zealand. So, it's all relative.
There's also, what do you know about the school zone pickups? You can't be U-turn guy or girl.
No,
that's illegal.
Yeah, big time.
And if you never, ever do a U-turn in a school zone, especially when it's busy, because these kids have no idea, right? They're like Luke said, they're walking into random houses. They don't know what the heck they're doing. Yeah. So you got to be so careful in the school zones. Let's get to the CFL news. Hey, this is 20 minutes ago the Riders announced Micah Johnson back with the green and white. Did you think there was ever a doubt that he was going to be back here? Do you think he was out testing the waters?
I think that he probably got a fair assessment of what his value was on the field, but I think Mike is now a guy that probably understands his value also off the field, and it's probably exponentially greater in Saskatchewan than it would be finishing his career in another spot. I think that at the end of the day right now, what the Saskatchewan Roughriders have done is if Mike is healthy, they've got probably the best interior line combo in the entire CFL with him and Mike Rose. And don't forget, you got a guy like Caleb Saunders who started getting a lot better towards the end of the year, still on your roster. He can pass rush. You got Charbel DeBeer, hopefully, who comes back healthy and even better. And you've got to think that JO's found some guys in camp that are going to compete and push for a rotational spot. But that inside with Mike Rose and Micah Johnson, there, the whole we don't want no smoke, that nobody's going to want smoke there. That's an unreal tandem. And it also takes the emphasis off of really needing two excellent pass rushes. You've got Malik Carney, who's a veteran who really came into his own this year, I thought. And then I don't know if Shane Ray is going to end up being a guy that starts from day one or whatever in the rotation, but you find another guy. That defensive line right now is shaping up to be absolutely disgusting.
That's what I was going to ask about. Where do you think Shane Ray fits this year as a player? Where do you think?
I mean, you got to get a look at him in camp. He's a guy that unfortunately has outstanding ability, but just has never been able to stay healthy, right? So I think that Jo had leverage in terms of what it was going to actually cost to get him under contract. But again, don't forget that you've got a guy like Habakkuk Baldonado coming back still, right? And he's a pass rusher. I really enjoyed watching Baldonado develop here this season. And I'll tell you what, one of the sneaky good signings, and I think it's just because he loves playing in a Coach Mace system and just really likes Coach Mace. That kid Marion that we got again, that re-signed here, that we got at the end of the year. I mean, he looks like a guy who can give you some really good reps in a jam. So again, that defensive line is shaping up. All to say, guys, I mean, right now, this offseason, with Jeremy O'Day coming out at the beginning of the offseason and saying, look, we really like our guys. We're not going to be an active squad in free agency. That's the key. I mean, if you can focus on your core and bringing your core back, you know that you're going to have a good team. All the Grey Cup teams that I went to, when we were going to Grey Cups, when we were at the top of the league, those were teams that had an established core and a great locker room vibe. And you only get that by keeping guys together. So I know it's way too early for this, and I think that a lot of this is going to be needed. Like, this is predicated on how well the offense can do, but I don't see why the Saskatchewan Roughriders aren't the favorites to represent the West in the Grey Cup at the moment. I just think that they've got all the things. They've got the coaching staff right now. You saw their ability to navigate massive adversity last year, not just in terms of getting guys ready to play, but also playing in tough spots. And year two under Coach Mace to look to build. I can't see why they wouldn't be the favorites in the West. And I haven't really said that before. I know I've said that, they're going to be a really good team in the West, but man, I really think if that offense can go and get sustainable and really sort of catch their groove, and I think Armstead, by the way, is going to have a great year if he's healthy. I don't see why they don't represent the West in the Grey Cup, boys.
So that was the big tease.
That's a big tease.
On social media, you said you're going to make a prediction. It is early, but we love it. We love it. That a boy.
It's so early. It's so early. And there's so many factors that go into it, right? Like, you got to stay healthy in key spots. But again, I think that, I got to talk. I sat down at lunch with my boy today, and we talked a little bit of football and a little bit of business. But, that defense, I think, is going to be fine. You've got Roland Milligan back. You've got some consistency at the safety. Marcus Sales, what a great signing that was. Outside of Milligan, he was our best defensive back last year. Right, and you get him back.
What about Tavon Campbell, man?
Yeah, what a free ride that is.
Totally. Well, here's the other thing, guys. You still have Revis, Thurman, and CJ Avery at linebackers. Like, that defense is returning. Except for Campbell, like, that is a monster defense. You got DeMarcus Fields at the other half. I'm telling you guys, I'm really excited about the year. And again, it's going to be predicated on how healthy you can stay. But I don't see why they don't represent the West in the Grey Cup. They're my favorites. That's my prediction. I know it's way too early for any of that stuff. But, man, it's just looking at what's going on and looking how O'Day is navigating the offseason and still with a lot of it to go. I really like what Saskatchewan's putting on paper right now. But again, you guys all know we don't win championships on paper, right?
No, nobody's given up the Grey Cup in February. I do like a comment you made, Luke, and I think it's something that people really need to focus on, is he's kept this core of this group together to keep that room together. They talked about it all last year, what a great room it was and how they were together as a group. You don't get that by turning out 25 or 30 guys and bringing out 25 or 30 new in. You've got to keep that core together, and I give O'Day and Mace a lot of credit for keeping that room in the same shape.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that, from day one of training camp last year, Corey Mace wanted to establish that feeling of family, right? You're never going to be complete family members. Guys get that. It's not a kumbaya session for you the rest of your life, right? But you are family when you spend 6 months together, right? And you're all making the same type of sacrifices in order to go towards a greater good, which in this case is winning the Grey Cup. So, but I think that he did a great job, and he does a great job of just solidifying that family dynamic, for that year. Everybody knows that, the team is going to look different from season to season, But again, it doesn't have to look completely different. And if you continue to bring back the core guys that you have in your locker room that understand how that dynamic and that family feel needs to look, feel, and more importantly, act throughout the year, you've got a good shot. And again, the schedule, they probably got the most favorable schedule in the Canadian Football League this year, boys, in terms of buys and just the way it's spread out. So,
that's the other thing. Yeah, that's the other thing that I was going to go to. Hey, we can throw out predictions in February.
Oh, without a doubt, we can.
Why wouldn't a guy? Is that schedule? Let's remember the schedule is favorable for the Riders.
Luke, I would ask you one other question in terms of players yet to sign or re-sign, and like we've done a great job along the offensive and defensive line. Receivers are back. The re-addition of Picton, if you will, adding to the receiver depth.
Tommy Neal.
Tommy Neal. Is there something that you think the Riders still need to go out and find? Is there one position you go, we need one of those guys yet?
I think you got to find another old lineman that can play tackle. I think you got a couple guys that can. Yeah, I think you just got to continue to solidify the trenches. I'd love to see another receiver, but again, the other thing that I'm gonna remind people of is Keyshawn Johnson. I mean, this is a guy that's going to go into his second year in the Canadian Football League, and I think that guy can potentially be the guy for the green and white here this year. When it's going to be hard to take away from the production and capacity of Schaefer Baker and Emelis, but Keyshawn Johnson, and remember, what was great about him was the dependability that he gave the offense in Saskatchewan, especially in those second and long moments. All right, when you needed a big play, I really think that he can, if he takes another step, that offense again. If that offense can go, yeah, sky's the limit. I don't see why they don't win the West.
We get Trevor Harris healthy for more than 10 games this year. Look out, because I think
even if we don't, I think we're
we had the all-star quarterback with the best passing rating in the league, and he didn't even play all the games. Like, imagine if he's there more often. What difference is that going to? I think it's going to be just enormous to Rider fans.
Yeah, and I think that again, you're going to bring back AJ Ouellette, but again, I got to tell you, Reichwell Armstead, if he comes with the right attitude this year, he's going to have a monster year. This is a team that wanted to run the football last year. They didn't get a ton of consistency out of it. When Reichwell did join the team, especially in Calgary, he showed you what he was capable of. And then I think that he was a little bit hurt, and obviously AJ Ouellette came back as well. But you've got a real dynamic tandem there with Ouellette and Armstead. You're going to have to get it from the Canadians on the field, though, because they're going to have to be able the ratio is going to need to benefit them this year, right? Whether that's playing a number of Canadians, but specifically, if you're able to go with an American running back tandem, if you're able to keep it American, maybe in the linebacker spots, again, this team's going to be trouble. I really like the makeup right now. I'm excited. It's not even close to May.
That's right. Tavon.
You're ready to strap up and go. Let's get in there, baby.
That's where that Tavon.
No. Hold on a second. No. Absolutely not, Sharky. I am not ready to strap up and go. I am not ready to do anything physical. And if you hear any of the alumni guys tell you that they've got one more play in them and they've been out of the game for more than a year, they're lying.
Okay, I want to get your take as a former defensive lineman, and maybe how the game has changed a bit, where the Riders go out and they sign Tommy Stevens, or allegedly they're signing that third and short quarterback, and we played the clips, and I'm sure the boys are going to fire him up here. Some of his runs. He's looking to score on third.
He's not
short.
Just getting a yard.
No. What do you think about going out and if they are going to sign him, if it is finally going to be a done deal next week, Luke, and just how, having a guy in that spot?
Well, he's as big as a tight end. Like, it's a tight end playing 3rd and 1, right? Like, he's a monster. I mean, look at him running. That's a horse right there, boys. I think that in a league where 3rd and 1s and 2nd and goals, 2nd and really short, where there's such critical downs to continue drives, I think that you've got to have a guy that is almost virtually a lock to get one of those if he's falling forward. And I know we're seeing the big plays here where he's cutting them to the outside, and those are what's going to get the highlights going. But at the end of the day, and at his heart, in terms of that short yardage rep, he's a guy that's just going to fall forward and go get it. So I like it because if you think about it, there hasn't been a ton of consistency back there for us for the last couple of years when it came to the third and short or the goal to go downs. And again, if you're in a 3-down league, like, you need every single down, right? So let's take the guesswork out of it. Let's get some consistency in that third down, and maybe we can then, maybe if we become excellent at third down efficiency, maybe we can become a team that changes considerably when we look at the longer downs, like 2nd and 7+, right? Maybe we don't need, right, 8, 9 on 2nd and long anymore, right? What if we get 5 and we have a monster who we can create a playbook for 3rd and 1 to 2 or 3? You know what I mean?
Yeah, that is where I think the analytics and the data, and when you got smart people working it, it's like, all right, this is what. And you bring up a good point, Luke. And I was on the other side, and I'm like, do we need to waste a spot on a 3rd and short? But now when I think about it, yard off the ball, how many times you're in that? Again, if you did the data and like the money ball kind of side of it, and it's like, okay, maybe this does make sense there, Barney. Okay, before
well, look at the Philadelphia Eagles. The NFL is literally about to change the law because the Eagles are so good at it. Like, right?
Yeah. Okay, I want to get to NFL and Super Bowl quick, but I want to just your comments on Zach Collaros coming out and calling the timing of the CFL salary cap increase absolutely ridiculous. It comes down a couple of days ago. We're in free agency, and they're like, "Oh, by the way, we're moving things up." What's your take on it? Kind of a weird time for it, Luke.
Honestly, I know that this takes collective bargaining agreements, and I actually think that if the league has a surplus or the revenues increased, I would have loved to see the league invest in some infrastructure. I would have loved to see the league invest in their coaches a little bit more, maybe ease the stupid coaching cap. I would have loved to see us put maybe some more money because of our instant replay system. Maybe we put some more money into a couple more cameras on the field, right? If we really want to become a league that relies on instant replay consistently. So I'm all for it. Don't get me wrong, though. Players getting more money, I'll never say no to that. I'm glad about that. But again, we always talk about the CFL as it relates to whether it can sustain over the long term, right? And I think it's a sustainable league for sure. I think it's going to be here for another 100 years. But again, it doesn't mean you stop building into the strengths, into the infrastructure of it. And I really think that if they took some of the money and the revenue and invested it in other places, and also the players, I think that we can continue making steps as a whole league and not just right as a player group. But again, those things take negotiating and stuff, right?
Charleston Hughes the other day with Maz says, I wouldn't spend it if I was a team. I would just kind of hold on to it. I'm like, what?
Here's a point I'll make to that, though. And I mean, it was made public, obviously, in the last couple of days, but I'm sure the general managers and the governors and everybody within the league knew.
Glenn Suter thinks they didn't.
Well, controversy. But again, I would suspect that they were ahead of that.
Okay.
I would.
All right. Okay. So what's your plan for Super Bowl? Do you go Super Bowl party? Do you just kind of kick back in your
favorite food,
lazy boy, with whatever you want to eat? You don't have to worry about other people. What's kind of Luke doing Sunday?
Look, man, I hate Super Bowl parties. Unless I know all the people and the parameters around the party. And you want to know why? Because I like football and I love watching the game. And I can't stand that if you're at a Super Bowl party, people talk during the game and then shut up during the commercials. It's bass backwards. I hate it. So my homeboy's coming over, Ty. He's gonna bring his son so Luther can be occupied. We're just gonna hang out. But yeah, it's about food. My go-to is always pizza, Sharky. Always pizza.
Western's
Oh,
for
love
sure.
it. Yeah.
I was gonna say maybe if your neighbors
Not
were
pheasant
having
pot pie, that's for sure.
yeah. No,
Luke, I'm making you a pheasant pot pie, baby. I'm delivering one to you.
It's
You're
not-
going to have it. You're going to love it.
it's not gonna go
Hey,
over well.
Hey, look, I appreciate it, Sharky. And you know what? How about we just do this, brother? How about we just start off, maybe deliver me a slice. So if I don't like it, I don't waste an entire effort of pie. You know what I mean?
All right. I'm good. Maybe a tart. Maybe a tart size one.
I was gonna say, if any of your neighbors,
Yeah, start slow, you know?
if
Right.
any of your neighbors are having Super Bowl parties, you could just send your boy over to do a pre-scout. Just let him walk in randomly. Be like, "Yeah, how was the party going? What do they got to eat? What do they got to eat?"
Yeah, I got some good neighbors. I got some football neighbors though now. I got some good neighbors for the Super Bowl. So yeah, if my TV was to fall off the wall and we had no capacity at my house to watch, I know that my neighbors would be doing some cool stuff. So I have no problem going over there.
Okay, who are you taking in the game?
Kansas City.
Oh.
Kansas City, man. I hate the Eagles. I hate anybody in the NFC East except Dallas. So I'm never going to cheer for the Eagles. But more importantly, guys, like all the stats that matter, Pat Mahomes is literally the best stat ever, right? This Kansas City team won every single game almost in the last possession. They always needed to grind it out. I think if Philly's not up by 14 in the first quarter, like how are they gonna? If Philly goes down by 10 and Saquon, they have to do something other than give the ball to Saquon or push their way up the field. I don't see them throwing the football with a ton of success. And I read a stat, and you guys know me, man. Stats aren't everything, and I'll be the first one to say this, but there was one stat I read, and it's been talked about on all the shows, where, like, in terms of fourth quarter game-winning or game-tying drive, Pat Mahomes was damn near 100% in those situations. And the next closest guy was like Tom Brady at 46% or something like that. Like that's how far above. And again, it's not just Mahomes. Andy Reid is an absolute genius when it comes to scheming these situations. So if it's a close game, I don't see why Kansas City doesn't win it. So I'm going KC.
Steve Spagnuolo's a genius.
He is. Their defensive.
Yeah. I don't mind Kansas City coaching.
They're a defensive squad. They're a defensive squad.
The only thing I don't like
about it.
And you know what? I'm glad you did it from a football standpoint, because the only thing I don't like about Kansas City is the sideshow that's going on, right? All the other garbage around them, but as a football team, they're very, very sound.
Yeah. Yeah. What did you?
Well, you know, I mean, with the whole Taylor Swift thing, you know what I always say, Shark, and my dad told me that, you know what, it doesn't matter how important or how good a girl looks, somewhere, in some house, some block, there's always somebody that's really sick of her crap. You know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I got that shirt. I got it, Luke. I got that shirt.
There you go, brother.
I love. We got to end it on that. He was like, you can ask me anything. I was going to ask you about Kanye West's wife's dress at the Grammys, but we're going to end it on that. And you know what? We might need to bring you back because next week, things could happen, right? Free agency. So might have to get you again.
Just let your boy know, man.
Well, I just in case you're doing a rap video or something, I don't want to interrupt, right?
Hey, look, I get, those rap videos, those are voluntary, man. So you just let me know.
Maestro Fresh West. Let's bring him back. All right, Luke, have a good weekend, buddy. Go Eagles.
All right, boys.
See you, Luke.